Hey guys, it's Johnny. Owning a home comes with a lot of benefits, but it also comes with a lot of challenges. And the challenges that come with owning a home are not often talked about, and in some cases, they can outweigh the benefits of owning a home. So in this video, I'm going to talk about 4 of these challenges, how they can make your life difficult, and why they may be reasons not to own a home. So let's get right into it. So reason number 1 to not own a home is if you have no permanent base or you're not staying in one place for a long period of time. Now, when it comes to buying a home or owning a home, experts typically recommend that you buy knowing that you're going to be there for at least 5 years. And that's the minimum. Probably 10 years at least is the ideal number, but somewhere between 5 and 10 years is the minimum that experts will probably tell you that you should be looking to stay in a place when you buy. And the reason behind this is all to do with the numbers. Probably heard that property is an appreciating asset, which means that its value increases over time. Of course, if you're living in a property, then any mortgage payments you're making, if you're paying a mortgage, are going to building up your equity in that property. So as you pay off your mortgage, which may well be lower than average rent for the area, and as you build up equity in the property and the price goes up over time, then in theory, you make a financial return. But it's not that simple. When I've talked about investing in the theory of stocks on this channel, the longer time frame you're in the stock market typically, the less likely your chances of losing money. And the same goes with property. However, the main difference here is that the stock market is a liquid market, whereas the property market is very illiquid. And it takes time for changes in the external environment, the economy, to be reflected in a property's value. So that means for you to benefit from that financial return, you really need to be in the market for as long a time as possible to give your property the best chance of appreciation as well. And if you're moving around constantly, you're not looking to stay in one place, then it's unlikely that you're going to be able to take advantage of the financial appreciation, the gains that come from buying your own home. Not to mention as well, in that financial calculation, you've also got to factor in, the buying costs, any property taxes that come along with that as well. I should mention here as well that I'm referring here to buying your own home, not an investment property, because that's obviously a different scenario. And whilst, you can live in a different city and have an investment property in another city, and that's got its challenges in itself, then it might still make sense and you can make it work. The second reason not to own a home is if you don't want to care for it or you don't know how to care for your property. So when I was renting as a tenant and staying in other apartments, I'd generally keep it clean. I wasn't a super clean freak. I would clean from time to time, but make sure it was sufficiently clean. I didn't worry about deep cleaning or anything like that apart from the moment when I left the property, but just cleaning from time to time, making sure that it's tidy and not too messy. That is not a mindset that you can adopt when you have your own property. Sounds a bit bad if you think about it. I'm not going to make the same effort for someone else's property as I am for my own. But really, when it's your own property, you start to appreciate, if I don't keep this clean, it can cause problems, infections, infestations, maintenance issues, etc. that you as a property owner now have to deal with because it's your responsibility. You can't just phone up your landlord because you're the boss now. And so you need to make sure that you're looking after your property well, that you're cleaning it regularly, that you're cleaning it with the right things and you're not damaging, pipes or surfaces with the cleaning materials that you use. Because ultimately, if poor maintenance and poor cleaning, causes a problem or damage further down the line, it's going to need to be paid for. And guess who's going to have to pay for it? You. So if the idea of regularly cleaning and doing a good proper clean sounds off-putting to you, then you may want to reconsider buying a property. The third reason, very similarly, is when those problems arrive, you don't have the time or the patience to deal with it. Maybe you're a busy person and you've got a lot going on, so it makes it really difficult to deal with these things when they come up. Or maybe you just really don't want the hassle of trying to deal with these things yourself, contacting people, all that kind of stuff. Because you never know what can come up and when it will come up. In my last video, I talked about issues I was having with the electricity in the house, and they're now resolved, thankfully, but gosh, it's been a pain to get everything sorted. You're having to call up people visit, you get quotes, you have to assess the financial outlay, you're then without electricity for half the day whilst they, fix the problem. You gotta make sure you're available for them, you gotta fit them into your schedule. And if it's a serious problem, of course, you gotta drop everything and call someone immediately. If you've got a plumbing leak or an electrical issue like this. Neighbors, it's really important to maintain good relationships with the neighbors. So even if someone is annoying you and you really want to stick it to them, for the sake of living in the community for a long period of time, it's best to maintain good relationships with your neighbors. So you really need to have the patience for that. And of course, if you want to do renovation works on the house, then that's a whole other ballgame to organize with the money and problems that can come up during that as well. Speaking of which, I have not forgotten that I told you guys earlier this year that I will be sharing a video where I talk about the latest renovations I've done in the apartment, and I'm going to make that very, very soon for you. So do stay tuned. Anyway, same as the last point, you need to handle these problems effectively and deal with them with good, proper long-term solutions. You can't just throw temporary fixes at them all the time, because that can then create more problems as you go on. It's better to really just solve a problem at its root cause, pay the money down and get it solved. Again, if you're not ready for that, and if you don't have the time to deal with these kind of problems or the patience, then you're probably not ready to own a house. And the last reason to not buy a house builds on these last 2 points that I've talked about, is that you don't appreciate the financial burden that comes with owning a home, which seems contradictory to a lot of the things that I mentioned in the first point. You know, your house will go up in value, you're building equity in your property, you should make a gain long term, right? But at the same time, you have to take into account that taken away from that gain are things like property taxes, things like homeowner association fees, I think they're called in America. Here in Spain, they're called comunidad. Basically, the cost of if you live in an apartment, the maintenance of like the communal areas in the building, property taxes, these kind of repairs, you know, security system for your home if you want one, renovations and refurbishments, again, if that's something that you're looking at doing. When you own a home, there's absolutely no doubt about it. You really need to have a budget. You need to have your costs clear. You need to be 100% sure that you can afford these costs. And I'm not just talking about, you know, being able to pay your mortgage on a monthly basis. You need to make sure you have a sufficient emergency fund to cover things like maintenance or problems that come up as you live there. And as a result, you also need to have some saving capacity so that you can build that emergency fund, or so that if something comes up unexpected, and you know, however big it might be, then you don't have to worry about where am I going to find the money. You've got the money, and you don't have to worry about going further into debt or you know, how am I going to pay for this and solve this problem? So you really need to run the numbers thoroughly and make sure that everything checks out from a budgeting perspective for you before buying a house. So there you have it, guys. Owning a home is a really great thing. Honestly, I'm not trying to put anybody off here, but you do need to be aware of some of the challenges that come with it as well. You don't want to buy a home and then you have some nasty surprises that you weren't ready for. These are lessons that I personally have learned over the past few years, and I thought I would use my platform to share with you. Leave a comment and let me know, have you got any other lessons that you would add to this list from your experience owning a home? Till next time, I'll see you on the next one, and let's get this money.